In the year 1220, one man erased 4 centuries of civilization in a single season. His name was Genghis Khan, and this is the story the cities of the Silk Road never survived to tell. He did not merely conquer, he rewrote the map of the world. 1 million soldiers, 20 million dead, a wound in history so deep we are still measuring it. 1200 years ago, the Mongolian steppe was a wilderness of wind and grass, a brutal world where survival was the only law. Into this world, a boy named Temujin was born. His father poisoned by rivals, his family abandoned by their clan. At 9 years old, Temujin learned the world's most brutal lesson: trust no one, survive everything. Over decades, Temujin did what no Mongol had done before. He united the warring tribes. Through loyalty, fear, and an iron will, he forged a nation from chaos. In 1206, on the banks of the Onon River, the tribes spoke as one voice. They gave him a name that would echo through eternity: Genghis Khan, universal ruler. The Mongol army was unlike anything the world had ever seen. No supply chains, no fortresses, just speed, discipline, and a ruthlessness that became legend. Each warrior carried 3 horses. They could cover 100 miles in a single day, faster than any messenger of the age could warn of their coming. Their arrows were not fired. They were released, thousands at once, turning the sky black before the battle had even begun. Genghis Khan did not see cities as obstacles. He saw them as problems, with very simple solutions. He offered every city a choice: surrender and live, resist and be erased. Most chose wrong. The Khwarezm Empire stretched from Persia to Afghanistan, the most powerful Islamic state of its age. Its sultan controlled the Silk Road itself. Sultan Muhammad II was celebrated as the shadow of God on earth. He had never lost a war. He had never met Genghis Khan. In 1218, Genghis Khan sent a trade caravan, 450 merchants, as a peace offering. The Sultan had them all executed. When Khan received news of the massacre, he reportedly climbed a mountain, knelt, and prayed for 3 days. Then he declared war. He assembled 200,000 warriors, cavalry, engineers, siege masters, and spies, the greatest mobile army the world had ever seen. He split his forces into 3 armies, an unprecedented coordination across a front of over 500 miles. No enemy had a defense for what came next. The steppe fell silent, the birds stopped singing, 300,000 soldiers began to move, and the world would never be the same. The year was 1219. The Mongol horde crossed the Sirdarya River, the ancient boundary of the civilized world. On the other side lay the Khwarezm Empire and its death. The Mongols had no walls of their own, but they had learned from every people they conquered, Chinese engineers, Persian craftsmen, and built machines of pure destruction. The first city to fall was Otrar, where the merchants had been murdered. The governor who ordered the killing, Inalchuk, was captured alive. His punishment was legendary. Molten silver was poured into Inalchuk's ears and eyes, Genghis Khan's answer to the murder of his merchants. Greed had killed him, now silver would too. City after city fell: Bukhara, Samarkand, Urgench. Names that had meant wealth and learning for centuries now meant rubble and ash. The Mongol advance moved faster than news of their coming. Villages surrendered before they even knew what they were surrendering to. Genghis Khan's generals were not soldiers, they were systems, each commanding a flawless machine of coordinated destruction across hundreds of miles. The Sultan, paralyzed by indecision, split his armies across every city, and Genghis Khan destroyed them one by one. In Bukhara, the great mosque was turned into a stable for Mongol horses. Genghis Khan rode to its pulpit and declared, "I am the punishment of God." Those who fled carried only one thing: fear. They spread it like a plague ahead of the army, making whole populations abandon their cities before the Mongols arrived. The Mongols rewarded skilled craftsmen, scholars, and engineers with their lives, and transported them east to serve the Khan's growing empire. water was a weapon, the Mongols destroyed the ancient Qanat irrigation systems, turning the garden cities of Khorasan back into desert for centuries. The siege towers of the Mongol army were the most advanced in the world. No wall, no matter how thick, had ever stopped them. Flaming projectiles soared over walls, setting the interior cities ablaze before a single gate was broken. The Mongols fought from the outside and the inside simultaneously. The soldiers of Khwarezm were brave. They were skilled, but they were fighting a force of nature, not an army. When the first gate fell, the city's fate was sealed. The Mongols did not storm buildings. They divided, surrounded, and systematically cleared. The great bazaars of Khwarezm, where the world had traded for 1,000 years, fell silent overnight. The merchants were gone. The stalls stood empty. Genghis Khan moved through his conquests not in triumph, but in assessment, cataloging what was useful, ordering what could be preserved. Messages traveled across the empire on the Yam, a relay postal network that could carry a dispatch 200 miles in a single day. The Mongols were also masters of information. All three Mongol armies now converged on a single point. Samarkand, the greatest city in the Islamic world. The final act was about to begin. Samarkand was the crown of the Silk Road, 500,000 people, the finest mosques and libraries in the Islamic world, and it was about to meet the end of its golden age. In the spring of 1220, the people of Samarkand climbed to their rooftops. On the horizon, in every direction, the steppe had turned black. The Mongol horde had arrived. The city's commanders sent 50,000 troops in a desperate sortie. The Mongols retreated, then turned, encircled, and annihilated them to the last man. After just 5 days, the garrison of Samarkand surrendered. They were promised mercy. Most were executed anyway. Genghis Khan rode into Samarkand, not in triumph, but in silence. He moved through its streets like a surgeon inspecting a patient already dead. The great libraries of Samarkand, centuries of Islamic science, poetry, astronomy, and philosophy, were looted. What they could not carry, they burned. The Sultan fled, abandoning his capital, his army, and his people. Genghis Khan sent 2 generals, Jebe and Subutai, to hunt him to the ends of the earth. Jebe and Subutai pursued the Sultan across Persia, through the Caucasus, and into the edge of Russia, a 5,000-mile chase that became the greatest cavalry raid in recorded history. The Sultan died on a small island in the Caspian Sea. Alone, his empire in ruins, his sons hunted. He died wearing borrowed clothes. He had nothing left. A small garrison of 1,000 soldiers held Samarkand's inner citadel for weeks, a last act of defiance that Genghis Khan would remember. The final defenders were offered no terms. They had chosen battle to the end. The Mongols respected that and killed them all the same. Persian chroniclers who survived wrote that the screaming did not stop for 3 days. Then it stopped, and the silence was worse. By the Khan's own order, craftsmen, doctors, and scholars were separated from the condemned, their skills too valuable to destroy. The population was divided into 4 groups: soldiers, craftsmen, those with useful skills, and the rest. The fate of each group was determined in hours. Genghis Khan ordered key infrastructure restored immediately. He was not interested in ruins. He was building an empire that needed functioning cities. The Persian scholars who survived wrote everything down. It is because of them that we know what happened, the testimonies of those who watched the world end. The poet Attar of Nishapur was among those killed. His death symbolized the end of a golden age of Islamic literature that would never fully recover. That night, the Mongol victory fires could be seen from 50 miles in every direction. The conquest of Samarkand was complete. By morning, the great bazaars were empty. The fountains ran, but there was no one to drink. A city of 500,000 had been reduced to silence. Genghis Khan did not stay to celebrate. He was already planning the next campaign. The conquest of Samarkand was complete. His work was not. Historians estimate that the Mongol conquest of Central Asia killed between 15 and 40 million people, perhaps a third of the region's entire population. Some cities never recovered. Yet from the ruins, something unexpected grew. The Mongol Empire created the largest free trade zone in history. The Silk Road roared back to life, carrying goods, ideas, and a new world. 1 in every 200 people alive today carries Genghis Khan's genetic signature. He is the most prolific biological ancestor in recorded human history. The Black Death that killed half of Europe traveled west along the Mongol trade routes. The peace of the Pax Mongolica carried a different kind of destruction. His empire became the crucible for the modern world, connecting east and west in ways no one had planned and no one could stop. Genghis Khan never saw his empire complete. He died in 1227, still on campaign, still writing, still conquering. He had never stopped. His burial place remains unknown to this day. By his own command, the burial party was killed after the burial, and nature was allowed to reclaim the ground above him. His sons divided the empire into 4 khanates, each larger than any empire that had existed before. The Mongol century had just begun. Today, a 40-meter stainless steel statue of Genghis Khan stands on the Mongolian steppe, the tallest equestrian statue in the world. He faces east toward his birthplace. In Mongolia today, families still live in gurs on the same steppe their ancestors rode. The land has not changed. The people carry the memory. In Mongolia today, families still live in gurs on the same steppe their ancestors rode. The land has not changed. The people carry the memory. He was not a monster. He was not a hero. He was something older and stranger, a force of nature given a human form, a wound, a bridge, a question history still cannot answer. The steppe remembers nothing, the wind has no memory, but we do, and so the story of Genghis Khan, the man who broke the world to build it, lives on.